Well, hello there, boys and girls. Welcome back to my little corner of the internet. I know it's been quite a while since I've done a proper video, but I've been putting this idea off for a year now, and I figure it's best for me to finally get it out there for people to see, since it's come to my attention recently that this is still a problem that some people struggle with. Today we're going to talk about two of the most basic concepts to consider when discussing defense. These concepts are guard and attribute. At least that's what you'll see if you look at Dust Loop. I don't expect this video to be very long, but I think that this is an important concept to understand, as misunderstanding can lead to a lot of frustration and confusion. What we're specifically going to focus on in this video is the difference between guard and attribute. So, I'm sure all of you are familiar with how invincibility frames work, but just in case there's anyone in the audience who is not aware, I will define them for you. Invincibility, or I-frames, dictate a period in time in which you are impervious to your opponent's attacks. The most notable attacks that include these are Dragon Punches, or DPs, such as Ragna's Inferno Divider. DPs are typically fully invincible. Now then, the difference between guard and attribute. Guard, very self-explanatory, pertains to how you block an attack. Attribute, however, pertains more to how you go through an attack. This component of frame data interacts with iframes. All attacks in the game have a guard component and an attribute component, but only select attacks and maneuvers have iframes. For our first example of how this functions, let's put Hazama up against Kagura, shall we? We'll be using Kagura's 2C against Hazama blocking and using two of his stance attacks. Now then, it may not look it, but Kagura's 2C's guard property is mid. Looks like a low though, doesn't it? See how Hazama doesn't have to crouch to block it despite its appearance? Now let's try it with Hazama's Devouring Fang. Devouring Fang is body invincible on frame 1, so it should beat a mid attack, right? Wrong. See, Kagura's 2C is a mid, true, but its attribute property is foot, and Devouring Fang loses to everything that isn't body attribute. As a side note, almost every 2A in the game is foot attribute. Now let's try against Hazama's Falling Fang. See how 2C completely whiffs against Falling Fang? Going off of the same previously assumed logic, and ignoring hitboxes, you would expect a mid-attack like Kagura's 2C to strike Hazama during this attack, wouldn't you? Still wrong. Since Falling Fang is foot invincible on frame 1, it will beat Kagura's 2C every time. Now then, let's try something different, shall we? This time, we'll be working with Amane Nishiki and his air normals. This is more for pure demonstration, so we'll just stick to the idea that you understand what I've previously explained. I don't think that'll be an issue, I think you guys are smart. For those of you unaware, Amane's only overhead is his JA. No other button in his toolkit can open people up overhead. Not that he particularly needs it, considering he gets rewarded for making people block his drills. Notice though that his JB, while not an overhead, still beats Hazama's Devouring Fang. Despite being an air normal without being an overhead, the attack is still head property, meaning that Hazama could beat it with his 2C or his Rising Fang, but most certainly will not beat it with Devouring Fang. So in closing, the purpose of this video was to illustrate to you that attacks can be interacted with differently despite their appearance. It is important to understand that head attribute does not make something an overhead, mids can't all be beaten by attacks that are body invulnerable, and so on and so forth. The way that you block an attack does not dictate the way that you go through an attack, and I hope you all understand that now. Thanks for watching, and enjoy your time playing BlazBlue Central Fiction. See you next time!